The reason for that is because I never, I had to make one, but I'm not heard. People hear what they want to hear. That's why you have to record everything. If I record it, I'm a bad person, aren't I? Oh no, what makes me a bad person is I posted it on the internet, with all due respect. It's the only thing that's been successful. We got Holly in the last video when no, I'm not your therapist. I'm a victim of long-term abuse, trying to get help, being heard, trying to. It includes being denied access to the most basic of human rights. It includes being denied my rights as an American citizen and as a human being. Over and over. Our cops just refuse to do anything except talk over me, dismiss me, and send me somewhere else. Jesus Christ, how many man-hours of time instead of finding out what's going on? How many people want to go OCD on some fucking tangent instead of listening? Oh, well, this will fix it. Let's this, and this. When people get an idea in their head, especially women, they like to lead the conversation. Fucking vibe people that to pry shit out of. No, you have to shut the fuck up. We eventually get tired of trying to tell you what's going on because you don't shut the fuck up. But we can't tell you to shut the fuck up, can we? And no other form of letting you know that we need to be heard is going to be understood by any woman. Because here's the thing. That bias exists whether you admit it or not. Neither men nor women are respectful to or of male victims. If the victim is male and they're trying to tell you what's going on, what do? You want to coddle them? Don't coddle them. Just shut up. You want to go down memory lane of your stuff? Just shut up. They're not your therapist. They're not coming to you as a therapist. Punning them off on a therapist is not going to help stop the abuse either. Not unless you're a woman. Are you all stupid? No, most of you are women. You have access to those resources. All you have to do is pretend that somebody might hurt you, and people will literally murder people. No joke. When the victim is homeless male, yeah, you get to take a look at how the police treat me when I have to talk to them by myself. You also get to see how they're not the only ones. The people who pretend to be my friends do the same exact thing. They just talk over everything and dismiss everything or say, oh, I don't know what to do. Well, I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to fucking show you, for Christ's sake. If you would stop making excuses not to show up, not to listen, and every time I speak, you say, I don't know how, I don't know how, I don't know how. Jesus fucking Christ. If you would stop saying, I don't know how, you'd know how. I'm trying to tell you the who, what, when, where, and why, and when you repeatedly interrupt me to ask the who, what, when, where, and why, but in a completely fucked up order, you're not confused because of what I'm telling you. You're confused because of your assumptions. And I'm showing you stuff that doesn't fit your assumptions, and then you're confused. Let's take a look at the situation with Candy, just like with Holly on the last video, right? Candy's got her assumptions. She's not a bad person. She means well. She's not trying to harm me. She's not trying to help predators get away. She's not trying to. She's got good intentions. But the thing is that before she can do anything useful, she has to dump off all of her assumptions and actually listen, with the intent of listening to understand. It's difficult to do because a human being is interactive. It's not like watching my story in a movie theater where, yeah, sure, you can yell at the screen, but it doesn't care because it's not interactive at all. The movie is going to be the same every fucking time, regardless of what you say in the audience. Similar to making a police report, a written report, when you're able, when you're allowed, when it's permitted. We get to see and hear on my channel how police officers will make every excuse. They won't allow you that. They won't allow you to make a written report. They'll say things like, oh, well, you just tell me and I'll decide if it's illegal. And then they say, oh, well, you should have made a report later on down the road when you're still being abused. And then they say it's your fault for not trying to turn it in. You call 911 because you were just assaulted. One of these officers shows up, and what do? Talk over you. Try to send you to mental health. Because you were just assaulted, and they don't want to do their jobs for a homeless man. We don't matter. What did I do with all of my disability money for an entire year before Natalie was killed? Well, I didn't have disability money for most of that time. I didn't get disability money until the middle of 2017. Yeah, almost a full year after I'd left Virginia. Almost. Taking abuse the whole time. Getting harassment calls the whole time. People threatening to kill my friends and family the whole time. And I just wanted to be left alone. I did what I was asked. The thing is that my predators got heard, and I'm still not heard by a single person. All these people that want to help, well, how is jumping through hoops, how is doing anything other than listening to the victim and helping to turn it in, how is anything other than that help? I get that it's a complicated situation, it's confusing. I've still got a lot of questions. There's still a lot of questions that I want answered, same as you. But what I'm trying to get you to focus on is the truth, the actual evidence. I'm trying to get you to understand why I'm being abused and how to stop it, while you're busy interrupting literally all of me trying to teach you that to tell me you don't know how. You don't know how. You don't know how. So your teacher is trying to teach you. What's 2 plus 2? Is it 5? No, it's not. So they're trying to teach you the dot method. How many of y'all remember that? Where a 1's got 1 dot, a 2 has 2 dots, a 3 has 3 points, and there's a dot on each point, right? Well, you're trying to teach them that. You're only doing 1 through 5. But of course, you've got kids that you're trying to teach, and they won't stop yelling, I don't know how, I don't know how, I don't know how, I don't know how. Or you start trying to tell them what's going on, and all of a sudden, you've got one kid in the class who's going off about trains and won't shut up. You got another kid in the class that wants to talk about airplanes and won't shut up. You got another kid pissing in the corner and shitting himself, and you got another one that's a fucking heroin addict. And these are the people that you're having to try to teach this stuff and hoping that they'll listen, and you're powerless because it's not your classroom, it's theirs. Not your house, it's theirs. And they're going to let you know that, and they're going to throw that in your face as often as they want to, as often as they like. When they don't keep their word, they're going to throw that in your face. When you let them know that you are being harmed, they treat you like you're throwing that in their face. Can you take the time out to help a friend who's being abused? Because if you can't, don't call them friend. If it takes you 5 months and you still haven't listened to that friend, and they've done everything that you've asked that they're capable of, and you still haven't taken the one important thing, there's 3 documents in my back pocket right now that Candy was going to sit down and take a look at before Thanksgiving of last year. Then she was going to after Thanksgiving. She just never made the time. Then she was going to after Christmas, and she just never made the time. To this day, she's never made the time. There's also the defensive stuff, like she's going to court with me, right? Shouldn't that be good enough? No, it's not. That's all defensive. That's just eating up time. That doesn't help me to turn in the crimes. See, that's the thing. We've got some big buffer of years and years and years where I'm able to do all of these magical things that you have the ability to do. For you, it's not magic. For me, yeah, it would take some pretty serious fucking space magic to have what you have. What, you think I can just snap my fingers and have a place to live like Candy and her husband? When I try to tell you about the abuse that I'm trying to turn in, you want to interrupt me to tell me about something that happened to you back in the day like I'm your therapist. That's not going to help me. That's not going to stop abuse. That's not going to get and it's not going to get that information turned into the courts, which is where it needs to go. After a situation, you need to take the time to sit with the victim. After they've had to talk to the police and go through a harrowing experience, it's probably a good time to sit down and listen to them. Nathan didn't know shit about the situation, and he went out there and had to talk to Martinez. What did Officer Martinez do? Just literally talked over everything that I said, and then he just talked over everything that Nathan said, and then like an idiot, Nathan wanted to come back and regurgitate to me all the shit that I was literally there for it. I recorded the whole goddamn thing. I can go back and listen to it over and over and over and over again if I want to. Nathan would have known what to do in that situation if he would have shut up and listened. Situations like what Martinez did, it's illegal for him to do that. It puts the victim at further risk of harm. The problem is Nathan doesn't care because Nathan is too busy being Nathan, and I'm fine with him being Nathan. He is a very pleasant person. He is a very, very kind person. But he gets his mind stuck on something after hearing a couple of things that I said, and he's going to do the same thing that Candy does. Say the same thing over and over and over again. Their suggestion over and over and over and over again. Maybe if they reword it 5 or 6 times differently, maybe I, the retard, will finally understand what they're saying. No, I understand completely what you're saying. But what you're saying is absolutely useless in my situation, and you'd know that if you listened to me tell you about my situation without interrupting me every time I start telling you about the situation, to tell me some cockamamie plan that you have based on assumptions that you made. Then, of course, there's the having to meet with these people. right? I know that when I was on my break, I didn't really like people coming up and talking to me and all that. I like to let people be on their breaks. But when you say, hey, come and see me on my break and I'll listen, and I come and see you on your break, but we only have 15 minutes, so you're in a time crunch, I'm in a time crunch. You're going to throw it in my face 10 times in a time crunch, or you only bring it up once, which is fine, then you proceed to talk about you. Or, of course, there's a bunch of other people around, which makes it very inappropriate to talk about some of these things. And then, of course, even if I do get to talk about those things in front of those people, it becomes a very long-winded conversation, don't it? A conversation. When you guys talk about how autistic people don't understand social cues, yeah, common sense. When a victim is telling you about their abuse, you shut up and listen. That's common sense. Common sense. Not throw 10,000 things in their face. Stop and listen. After you've listened, you can turn it in with them safely. The stuff that I ask for help with, cops are telling myself and others sometimes the wrong thing, depending on if I'm trying to do the right thing or not. If I'm trying to turn it in the right way, they'll tell me, oh, well, you can't turn it in that way. You have to do it this route, which is how I ended up talking to TFCC, CARE, Tides of Change, Health and Human Services, Northwest Senior and Disability Services. Literally none of them abuse, but all getting paid your tax dollars. You know, Candy and her husband, Joe Marino, right? He's got the same name as the boyfriend Natalie Bollinger had. You know whose gun it was that Natalie's brains were blown out with? Joe Marino's. Probably not going to believe that. That's just another creepy coincidence. Right? There was a feller who was going to come see me at 11, but he must have gotten busy because he hasn't called me and hasn't messaged me. But of course, restricted number after restricted number after restricted number. Over and over and over again. All I wanted to say, oh, you have videos of restricted calls from 3 years ago. Yeah, I'm well aware of that. I've explained over and over again that it's not just Andrew Wolnez. She would say, oh, well, how do you know it was him? Because I answered the phone and I heard his voice. Does that mean that every one of those restricted calls is from him? No, it doesn't. And I'm not saying that every single one of those has to be from Andrew Wolnez. What I'm saying is that those are all harassment calls. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Incessant, nonstop. When you say, oh, well, you've got that from 3 years ago, you're damn right I do from 3 years ago. That's what I've been saying. I've had to deal with this not for 3 years. Tim Beeson's been calling me up telling me he's going to kill my friends and family since when? Is it 2018? No, 2017. How many messages have I posted up between Tim Beeson and I? But do you ever see any of